Hello, and welcome to Brand Clarity by Visions to Images, where we focus on strategy and business development for entrepreneurs at all different levels through branding and digital marketing techniques. Susie Liberatore is the founder and art director of Visions to Images Creative Services, LLC. For the last decade, she has personally been instrumental in bridging gaps between the global digital market and neighborhood locations for some of the biggest brands around. Growth is possible for even a single location with the right professional branding techniques and Susie's signature strategies of Visions to Images. Stand out from your competitors and bring your visions to life while watching your sales skyrocket. Your host for this is Susie Liberatore, owner of Visions to Images. Welcome, everybody. I have Tarah King on the podcast today, and she is with Thrive Peer Recovery Services. And I'm super excited. I've known Tarah for a couple of years now. We met a while back at another marketing gig. And now here we are working on some Thrive Peer Recovery branding and really diving into taking it to the next level. So I'm excited to have her on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in your field and what your background is.
Yes. So I was born and raised in Cleveland and went to John Carroll University, where I majored in marketing. I kind of always knew that marketing was the area I wanted to work in because it was a nice balance of business and creativity. And I thought, what a great way to mesh those two things together. So I've held several positions, primarily in either sales or marketing roles, but I found that very beneficial because it really helped me understand the buyer's journey. And now that I'm completely focused in a marketing role, it really helps me develop our messaging and really the story that we're trying to tell people, because I know what it's like to be on the other side of it too.
Exactly. No, I love it. I love that you kind of have that passion and you've pursued it very much. So tell me what that story is with Thrive.
So Thrive was established in 2018, and it was originally called Thrive Peer Support. And peer support is somebody in long-term recovery from either a mental health and or substance use disorder that is helping somebody else in early recovery on their journey. It's really that lived experience. It's that piece that is key to peer support. So it initially started with Brian Bayless, who is the CEO, and his partner, Bridget Lewis, who is our COO, really wanted to find a way to fill that gap of continuing care. Brian personally saw that once you're out of treatment, what do? What happens? There's really no guidance. And long story short, that's how Thrive came to be, because they're really helping people who are starting on their journey to recovery. A person with lived experience can really connect with somebody who's in early recovery because they know what it's like. We know that there's not a one size fits all when it comes to recovery. We embrace all of those different pathways. So what better way to start your journey than with somebody who has lived it themselves? They understand what you're feeling. They understand what you're going through. And we also understand that what works for one person may not work for them. So we can explore those different ways of achieving that recovery. We're going to set personalized goals and we're going to help you achieve them and reach that independence. So when you are done with our programming, you feel confident that you can continue that recovery on your own.
Yes, I love it. I love hearing people's stories and missions and all of that. And I love seeing it come to life visually and in content as well. As you know, all about branding and marketing, it's all of the pieces that really come together in that sense, right? The mission, the values, the content, the visuals, everything that really comes together so that people can have that feeling, yes, I need that help. Yes, I want to work with them. Yes. And that's the same thing for all businesses and marketing that really need that help and support.
Correct.
So we just kind of did your rebrand for the logo. I loved it in a sense. We kind of refreshed it, but we kind of tweaked it as well. When you came to me, you were like, we want to keep it, but we want to change it slightly. So I love the outcome of it. And then, of course, the colors were quite
difficult to nail down, but we were able to find something that was really powerful for this new kind of vision and mission that you're going on. So can you tell us a little bit about the new name change and the new rebrand?
Yes. So effective January 1 of 2022, we are now known as Thrive Peer Recovery Services. And we just felt that was more encompassing of everything that we offer for people in recovery. Peer support is at the core. That is what we do best. That is what we do. We offer other services as well, such as harm reduction. And that's where we have people going out into the community and we're distributing things like Narcan and fentanyl testing strips and safe smoking kits. And peer support is at the core of what we do, but we offer other things to help people on their journey to recovery. And even if they haven't started that recovery yet, we want to make sure that whatever they're engaging in, it happens in a safe space. So we have a team that goes out and distributes fentanyl testing strips and safe smoking kits. I mean, we really try to educate on harm reduction and hope that when people are ready to take that step to recovery, know that we are here to help them.
Hey there, I want to interrupt this episode with a quick message. If you're listening to this podcast episode and want to learn about branding your franchise or small business, then go to brandingbridge.com. That's branding-bridge.com.
We currently service the entire state of Ohio. There are goals to expand beyond that I think are pretty feasible for 2022. We just brought on our first commercial payer, which is Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Prior to that, we really focused on the Medicaid population, a very underserved population that we can help with recovery services. Now with Anthem, that opens up an entirely new market for us.
Love that you have this new mission and vision and you're able to serve people that really need that help and support. And I mean, Anthem's opening up those doors to so much more potential. And I know you have so much other things in the works that are amazing and people really need that help and support. I mean, I know of people who have gone through recovery and like you said, it's not all the same for one person and everybody goes through their journey different. But the fact is they need that support and how can they find that, and creating that awareness that you're there to help them is so important because people don't understand that they need help until it's in their face, right? And I mean, people can sit here and say, hey, you need to go get some help with your recovery problems. But when you hear it from somebody else, it's kind of hurtful, that you do, but you're So when you have other people that have been through it and coming to you and sharing their journey and sharing that support, it's much more powerful than somebody who hasn't gone through it.
Absolutely. And there's that stigma that we're always fighting, right? Because there's seems to be shame and embarrassment that comes with either mental health or substance use. And we're trying to break that stigma. It is more common than people think. And even with the pandemic, I mean, we've seen increases in mental health struggles and substance use. So we feel like our services now more than ever are critical.
I believe it 100%. I mean, even we forget about mental health sometimes, right? We always think of recovery as drugs and alcohol and substance and all of that stuff. But the mental health is just so much more downplayed in a sense where we think about recovery, but we don't think about the mental health that it affects. And I 100% agree with the pandemic hurting so many people just basically mentally and substance abuse and everything. I mean, I see people struggling in many, many ways. And now with unemployment and everything else and jobs, and you got to sit in isolation, it hurts people mentally, physically, emotionally in many, many ways. I'm glad that people have that service and you guys can do a great job to help them.
And what's really great is that we have the unique opportunity to meet with people in person and via telehealth. And I think telehealth has really taken off in, the healthcare world. We've kind of all been forced to do it, but we found it very beneficial because just as you said, through the pandemic, when we are in isolation, we need to talk to somebody. Again, who better to talk to than somebody who understands what you're going through?
Absolutely.
Our logo, as you mentioned, the refresh with it was challenging because we didn't want to lose the brand equity that we already had in the existing logo, but we wanted something that was a little easier to identify. And you mentioned the colors. Yes, from a marketing perspective, we didn't have those colors, hammered down, especially in the previous logo we were utilizing. I came in and nobody really knew what colors they were. So we really dove into the psychology of color with this new logo, and choosing blue, yellow, green, and pink really played into the values that we hold here at Thrive. It plays into our mission, the blue suggesting loyalty, trust, and honesty, and the yellow offering hope, the green symbolizing healing, and the pink relating to unconditional love and understanding. Those are all very key components that our peer supporters are utilizing when they're connecting with peers.
Yeah, I love it. And I mean, even the fact of just changing the hand and the leaves on the logo, because we wanted to keep that same, like you said, brand equity, but we wanted to kind of fine tune it and make it more modern. But no, okay, we're here with open hands, and each 3 of the leaves represented something different in that sense of being able to help you grow and to plant and to help you evolve and really take that leap. Of course, I love all of that visual stuff and colors and fonts and being able to refine all of that. So it was very fun and interesting to see how it came to life, because I remember when we first started the logo process, we kind of talked about the different colored blues, and we talked about no orange, no red. We kind of narrowed it down, but we didn't know exactly what we needed until we talked and discovered more and more, and then made those colors amazing.
Yeah. And everybody loves it. I am so excited to have it out there and push the new logo and the updated name. It's a very, very exciting time for Thrive.
Yes. And I'm going to put it in the blog post, an image as well of the new logo, and kind of share that with everybody as well so they can kind of see it. But I think it's important to showcase something like that in the journey. My last question for you is, if you could give anybody some advice, what advice would you give them? Whether it's about personal, business, anything along those lines, what advice would you give somebody?
Find something that you love to do. And I know that can sound cliche, but being a working mom, I have taken some positions that I knew I didn't have a passion for, but oh, hey, the flexibility worked and I could be mom and make some money. I am the happiest I have ever been, especially in regards to professional and personal life balance. I work for a wonderful organization, and I'm so happy that I didn't give up on this goal of being in a marketing position and owning that position and really running with ideas and being able to work with a team where they're open to new things. I've settled before in the past, and I've convinced myself, well, this is just how it has to be, but I was unhappy. So I would just recommend don't lose sight of what makes you happy. Understand that there may be some struggles on your way to finding that balance. It does exist. I promise it exists, and your happiness exists. And this can happen for anyone. Just stay persistent and find your happy.
Oh, I love it. I remember I worked at an agency many, many years ago as a starting point of my career. And I loved the work. I loved the agency, but there was just a lot of internal problems. But I loved it. I learned a lot from it. And then eventually I left because, it closed down eventually anyways because of all the internal problems. But then when I moved to Ohio, I took a corporate job because that's what everybody wants you to do, right? And I hated it, but I hated it because there wasn't a team involved. There was too many hands in the pie, if that makes sense. I mean, that kind of contradicts, but at the same time, there wasn't no creative control or creative team and a lot of pushback on things. And everybody wanted their hands in a marketing piece that would take forever to finalize. And it was hard for me, but I was like, well, my kid's in daycare. And then he got sick and had autism, and everything kind of spiraled down. And I was like, well, I can't balance my life and I'm not happy here, right? So I knew in the back of my head, I always wanted to be a business owner. And I was like, well, that doesn't seem feasible. And I had to build it up slowly but steadily. But at the same time, I realized what I loved was that agency feel, and then working with corporations to fill that gap because there was so much stuff missing. And so even though those two things kind of were those two career jobs, they were kind of but they gave me that starting point to build those stairs to where I needed to be. And I'm at a place, like you said, where I'm happy. I have the balance between everything. And as many people know, I'm a single mom. So I have to have that balance and kind of going back and forth, but also doing what I love and making sure that I'm energized for my business and for my son. And then, of course, myself too. Like, we always forget about ourselves.
And I think because I'm currently with an organization where obviously our focus is good mental health, and they understand that balance. And I really feel like I've found my purpose. And I feel that from everyone at the organization. Everyone works so hard. It's like jointly we have found our purpose, and we want to convey that message to everyone that recovery is possible. Your happiness is possible, that no matter what state you are in right now, mentally, physically, emotionally, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and we can help you get there.
Agreed. No, I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure many people will enjoy kind of hearing this. And, I always love sharing mental health and recovery and stuff because it's a hot topic and it really needs to be shared more and more each and every day for sure.
Thank you, everybody, for listening in on today's Brand Clarity episode with Susie Liberatore. 2 things. First and foremost, please, if you liked this episode, please subscribe and leave some positive reviews. Also, don't forget to sign up for Stop Sending Your Customers to the Competition and get my insider secrets to compelling branding that converts. You can find that at branding-bridge.com. It's a free workbook for you to check out right now, all of the branding techniques and strategies that I use for my paying clients.